Hello everyone and welcome back to SBK16 Career Mode. Today we're here for episode 7, which is actually my home race, the British Grand Prix, taking place at Donington Park. On screen is some gameplay from the last episode, which took place in Malaysia, in which it involved the title fight blowing wide open and a couple of shot podiums as well. So it's a very interesting race, so be sure to check that one out if you haven't done already. And let's just see what's going to happen here at my home race. So click subscribe before we start if you're looking forward to it, and let's jump into the results from free practice, which, as I'm sure you all know by now, I top out very easily because I turn the difficulty down. However, the AI do seem to be slightly better here, especially through one of the chicanes at the end of the back straight. And however, it doesn't really show that. It doesn't really rectify that in qualifying because, again, I took pole position at my home race by 8 seconds, and that was on max difficulty. However, we found that's a common theme across lots of the tracks within this game, that the AI are always better at race pace. So let's jump into the British Grand Prix. On the grid now for race 1 at Donington, and we're just going to get straight into it once again with lots of our title rivals starting near to us. 3 lights are out and we're underway, and again Jonathan Rea has a slightly better start than us, and I'm actually pinched onto the outside a bit because Giuliano is going through at turn 1. That was Van der Mark in the background. However, we're going to send it on the Italian, make a slight bit of contact with our teammate there. However, we are going to push through back up into P1, so it has been a decent start as we pass the old Spitfire. Hence my channel name. Spitfire was a warplane, in case you didn't know, that was just on the hillside. However, I'd slightly messed sort of the corner there, and that's going to allow Rea to get right back on my gearbox again, if we're talking F1 terminology. Anyway, up the hill we go in towards the middle sector. Again, this is quite a narrow track, especially that first bit when you go the downhill bit. If you can keep that flat, then you can, really gain lots of time on the AI. And obviously there's, very little curbs around this track apart from in the corners. And this is the back straight. This is where the AI are going to be seriously OP through this chicane. And I'm trying not to cut the corner if possible, but I'm just going to get taken out there, partly because of how slow I'm going, and there you go. So we're down to P12. It's so annoying. The AI they can practically take that chicane flat. However, we are going to do brave, send it down the inside, and that 6th place is gained in a corner. And now we're just coming towards the final hairpin corner to conclude lap number 1. It's a very short lap here at Donington, the shortest lap on the calendar. Should I have upped it to 4 laps to make it more realistic in terms of distance or time that the races are? I don't know, but let's see what else is going to happen in this race as we go down the inside of turn 1 on Van der Mark. And now we're heading down the narrow bits of the track, and if you can keep it flat round here, then you're going to do something right. I do slightly brake, but again, that's contact with Chaz Davies, and that one definitely is on me, because I probably ought to have backed out and just waited for a more appropriate place to overtake. However, overtaking is difficult with the narrow circuit and lack of curbs for you to ride. So there is only, and one of the best chances is obviously down on that back straight, and obviously at the end of that the AI are just going to re-overtake you again because of the chicane. So yeah, it's sort of a foregone conclusion. If you're going to win at Donington, then you need to be ahead right from the start. Just out of the chicane, you can see how much time that I lost to the AI riders who are just ahead of me. However, Jonathan Rea, my goodness, has been on another planet. He crosses the line and wins the first race here at Donington Park, and the end of this race does mark halfway through the season because it's effectively 6 rounds and a half done. And don't forget there's 13 races in a season, so halfway through the season now, and we're going to come home in a very disappointing P6 in race 1 here at Donington. However, looking at the results, we do have a surprise podium for Forres on the Ducati, and also a great ride from Reiterberger on the BMW as we head into race 2 to see if we can make up any lost ground. 3 lights are out and we're underway, and we need to make a better start this time, so we immediately go to cover off Jonathan Rea, but David Giuliano gets through on the Ducati and Michael van der Mark through on the outside. Going to break later into turn 1, and now we just need to see if we can run away, and I've lost a bit of momentum. I think a slight knock to the confidence maybe after a poor result in race 1 certainly means, about the AI being much better at quali pace than race pace, but we do very well to take that corner flat and absolutely nail the sort of downhill right-hander there. And look at the mini-map we've already got a big lead, so you can gain a huge advantage on the AI if you can absolutely nail that sequence of corners into the middle sector. Again, we just need to get the bike slowed down well enough, so I really can string up a fantastic lap around here. Again, I just need to make sure I'm comfortably ahead before the chicane, and you know, look, 3.5 second lead already, so I just need to keep the bike under control really, and this is where we're going to lose a lot of time. Look in the mini map how the AI are just going to close up. I'm trying not to exceed any track limits, but again, a big stoppy, the rear end not having that, and now you can see if you look at the mini map, the AI have just massively closed up to me again. So yeah, the gap, I've lost about sort of 2.5 seconds of my advantage into that sequence of corners, so we do need to keep the bike well on the road as I do a wheelie instead of looking how far back the riders are behind me. Anyway, that concludes lap 1. Again, it's a very short lap here at Donington, and we're going to keep going, and I'm going to see if I can nail this sequence of corners again to see if we can pull a bit of my lead back. So the gap to Davide Giuliano, 1.6 seconds at the end of lap number 1. The AI is starting to get a little bit strung out, but again, if I can just get into my rhythm and momentum that I got into practice and qualifying, then I know we can win a race here. So I just need to be confident in myself, as that's also what you don't want to happen there, because you know that's going to cost me a little bit of time. You know, if you run onto the grass, then you are inevitably going to lose time, and that's what you want to do there. So I needed to have a bit of a tighter line, and there again I broke slightly too late. So far this lap has been a little bit scruffy, and we're going to stay on board, I think, to the end of this lap, nicely hooking up the bike through there. You want to make sure you get a good rhythm as you go onto the back straight, sort of 3 seconds up or so on the delta at the moment, and this is where you really do need to brake if you're going through the chicane. I do cut the corner a little bit there, but that's to avoid getting a stoppy, sacrifice the entry, get a better exit as we head down towards the first of 2 hairpins at this circuit, both of them coming in the final sector. 5 seconds up on the delta of my previous lap. Again, trying not to run too wide on exit. As you can see, Giuliano there in the background, he is still there, so he is piling the pressure on, but we do need to make sure that we do get a bit of a move on as we're coming through now to start the final lap here at Donington Park. We've got one more lap to make no mistakes and hook it up for British Grand Prix glory. Well, here we are then, the end of lap number 3, and I have pulled out even further from the Ducati on this lap into the final corner, and it is, in the end, going to be at least one home victory at our home race. We win race 2 at Donington. That feels really, really good, especially considering how poor we were at the end of the first race. We have managed to win one of our home races, which is good. And again, I can do really well at this circuit if I just get into my rhythm nice and early on. You can see at the championship rankings, we retake 2nd place, but we're 22 points behind Jonathan Rea heading into the next race, which is at Misano. So another race in Italy, San Marino Grand Prix, and I'm looking forward to that one because it's a strong track for me. Anyway, that concludes today's video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and join my Discord, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.